with Biff Poggi coming back. Biff Poggi is in the Michigan directory. We don't have a title on him yet. Don't have an announcement or anything officially. But
does Biff need a title? I mean, come on.
No, Biff. You can make up whatever title, mayor of the mayor, whatever it is. But Biff is back, so that's great. J Mar wants to know, with Biff coming back, who will benefit the most between Coach Moore and Coach Newsome? Which position groups or players will benefit the most with his return? Thank you, and go blue. That's tough because I don't know, and this might just be on me for not being up to speed with the Biff Poggi lore to a certain extent, but does he? I don't know that he has like a positional sort of expertise. I think where his value was for Jim Harbaugh was, hey, he's a right-hand man. He's kind of like the liaison in the building. I don't know. I don't know who that benefits most. Maybe it does benefit the offensive line more because you're taking a little bit off Sharon Moore's plate. Sharon Moore can now put a little more on his plate in terms of working with the offensive line. I don't know. Do you have thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think he's going to help with the offensive line. I think he did before. It's kind of his background was an O lineman at Pitt, and I think he worked pretty closely with Sharon the last time around when he came back in 2021 for 2 seasons, and then goes to Charlotte and wears the cutoffs on the sideline. But I mean, overall, I think Sharon Moore is going to benefit the most from this. I think that's a big reason why he would want him back, and he actually said publicly he wanted him back, and then now it looks like he will be. But I was rereading the piece that Bruce Feldman did on Biff Poggi in late 2022, right before he left for Charlotte. And I mean, just some powerful stuff on the impact that Biff Poggi had on this Michigan program. I mean, Biff told Jim Harbaugh, like, hey, don't go in every offense and defensive meeting. I'll sit in some of the meetings. I'll let you know what you need to know. Kind of let your coordinators coach. Like, if he straight up said to Josh Gaddis, like, I'm trying to figure out if you're part of the solution or part of the problem. And it was kind of like, hey, you need to, you're in charge of the offense here. Like, you need to get things going. If you're Jim Harbaugh, you need to trust Josh Gaddis. You need to trust that staff. And then this is an excerpt from that article. Let's see. So Poggi had the whole staff together, or Jim Harbaugh did, in the staff meeting room. And he said, let's go around the room and share something about ourselves that each other don't know aside from football. And this is from Bruce Feldman. Poggi told the dozen or so men in the room that he wanted them to know that he loves his wife and 5 children more than he loves himself, but admitted he was now doubting whether he was a good husband and good father. He couldn't, he confessed, remember a lot of his children's childhood. The coaches around the table were quiet, perhaps a bit stunned that he shared something so intimate. Then new offensive line coach Sharon Moore shared, and before he was finished, he was weeping. And so it went with every coach in the room. Sharon said that was huge for us as people, push us in another direction. When you do that, you think about things differently. Like, that staff came together. He was kind of coaching the coaches in a way. And I think that's going to help Sharon Moore a lot. Like, I imagine he sits in some meetings with the offense and watches film with the defense like he did with Mike McDonald. And it can be a big time resource for those guys, can be a big time resource for Sharon Moore. He's also just a guy you want around. I think Harbaugh's talked about that. Same with Ben Herbert. Like, he's just guys he wants around. If you have that stamp of approval, I mean, you got the stamp of approval from me as well. I mean, he's just an all-time dude, smoking cigars, cutoffs, everything. I mean, to have him back, I think is really big. It's something that you're not going to be able to measure. We're not going to know for sure what the direct impact of Biff Poggi coming back is, but there will be an impact. There's literally no question about it.
Yeah, there's no one-to-one kind of replacement for a lot of what they lost the last year or so after Jim Harbaugh left, but someone like Biff Poggi, who has a track record of sort of bringing people together, a liaison for the players, liaison for the coaches. I don't know if, I don't think I'm breaking any news here when I say this. I think there at times last year, at least early on, where there were questions about how things were being communicated or what the communication was like in the building, because you had a lot of people in there who were just kind of figuring it out. to have a Biff Poggi back, I think it goes beyond a position group. I think just in that building as a whole, I think it's going to go a long way. Because when you know how to talk to people, when you know how to get people to kind of find that synergy with each other, I think that's an important trait to have. So a little long-winded on Biff Poggi, but I think important to say that I think that will have a pretty decent impact